Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the course Information Retrieval 1. So in the previous video, in the previous lecture by Hari, you saw how Learn Interact works. In the next set of videos, we will discuss a very interesting and very special topic, let's say specific to IR, and the topic is about the interaction that happens between a user and an IR system. So in this set of videos, I'll tell you about interactions in general and about models of those interactions. And in the next two lectures, again by Hari, you will see how Learning to Rank and IR user interactions can be put together to improve the quality of IR systems and to evaluate them. So you'll talk about counterfactual Learning to Rank, online Learning to Rank, and online evaluation. Now, before we proceed, I'd like to say that I'm pretty sure you've seen certain types of interactions in the previous courses, but the diversity, uniqueness, and let's say the problems that come with the interactions between a user and an IR system are very special because, yeah, as I said, there are very many types of interactions and there are very many issues and problems that you have to solve, but then, of course, you can use them to improve and to evaluate IR systems. So this topic is very unique and specific to IR on the one hand, and on the other hand, whatever system you will work on after your studies, you will encounter some parts of this there. So it's basically the interactions are everywhere nowadays, and what we will discuss in the next few lectures will be certainly useful in the real world applications. So what kind of interactions do we have, especially in the search system? So we will talk about search systems mainly, but mention some other systems as well. When we talk about search, we primarily talk about queries, of course, that we submit, and queries are interactions on their own. So the type of queries, the content of the queries, the segments of queries that we submit tell a lot about us, about our needs, about what we want to see, and so on and so forth. Queries are themselves can be seen as interactions. And of course, after we submit a query, we get results back. So in web search, it's called SERP, Search Engine Results Page. But yeah, Search Engine Results Page is a general name also. What do we do with those results? We interact with them in certain ways. For example, we click on results, we use our mouse to read sometimes, to highlight things, we scroll, and sometimes some search engines support other types of interactions. So these are interactions on the level of results. Then these interactions here in the second point have their properties. And for example, they have property of time. For example, the time between clicks, time, how fast you move your mouse, time between these interactions, time before first click, last click, and so on and so forth. And you can think of actually of many other types of interactions, even just closing a browser or navigating to a different search engine. If you can track those interactions, those also can be useful. And of course, if we go beyond search, we go to recommended systems and other systems. There can be interactions like rating an item, saving a bookmark, sharing, liking, and so on and so forth. All those are interactions. Some of them are explicit, some of them are implicit, but all of those have similar properties, similar problems, and some of them we will discuss in this set of videos. And of course, there are many other interactions. Now, I already mentioned that a minute or two ago that interactions are important, and why are they important? And in search and IR, primarily we use interactions for two things, for two very general things that you have already seen so far, actually. So first, to evaluate information retrieval systems. And you had a lecture on evaluation, but their evaluation was offline. No users were involved, no interactions were used. And in the next two lectures, you will see some bits of online evaluation, like A/B testing and interleaving, where the evaluation is based directly on user interactions. And the second point is, of course, we use these interactions to improve IR systems. And again, the next two lectures, counterfactual learning to rank and online learning to rank, will be exactly about taking user interactions and specifically and mostly clicks for now to improve IR systems. But of course, you can use other types of interactions to do that. So basically, interactions are very important, and they connect very well to what you've studied so far: evaluation, document representation, and matching, and learning to rank. So you will see how that connection happens in the next lectures. And in this set of videos, we'll talk about models of user interactions. And we will mainly, well, no, we will specifically talk about click models, so models of user clicks. But of course, there are other models of mouse hovering. We also build a model of time between user actions, and you can find other models. Well, there are no models of scrolling yet, but you can build one, for example. And that's what we will focus in this focus on this set of videos. Why? The question is, why do we need models? Why can't we take interactions and apply them directly to evaluation, to learning to rank, to improve document representation and matching, for example? There is a very simple, very strong reason to create models, and that reason is called bias. So user clicks, for example, if we talk about clicks, are very biased. And actually, when we talk about any type of interaction, mouse movements or likes or saves, shares, and so on, they're all biased in a certain way. You have probably seen this picture here with this so-called golden triangle. If you haven't, you will see it again in Harry's lectures as well. And this golden triangle is just the eye gaze on a Google search engine results page. And pretty naturally, the most eye gaze happens in the top left corner. For those who read from left to right, for those who read from right to left, it will probably happen in the top right corner. But essentially, we start from the top and from the left, and then our attention spans within this golden triangle, and then it fades away the further we go. So basically, the further you go down the ranking, the less attention you pay to the results. And so the first, let's say 1, 2, 3 results are the most important. And that means that we are much more likely to click on the first or the first 3 results because they have most of our attention, and we are very unlikely to click on the 10th result, even if the 10th result is relevant, and we are likely to click on the top result, even if it's not relevant. So this is called a position bias. So our clicks are biased based on position, but there are very many other types of biases, actually, especially nowadays. This is pretty old, right? This is so-called 10 blue links interface, where it's just links and a little bit of ads here. But nowadays, search engine interfaces are much more complex. They show images, they show videos, maps, Wikipedia snippets, direct answers, and so on. And of course, the distribution of user attention slightly differs. And many more biases get introduced. For example, attention bias, where we are attracted to visually salient, visually attractive results like images or video or maps. And there are biases. What other types of biases do we have? Yeah, I have to think about it. So visual attention, position bias. Well, users tend to trust certain sources of information. So here you can check the URL where the result comes from, and users tend to trust Wikipedia, for example, and those attract more clicks, again, even if the result is not so relevant, but it comes from Wikipedia, it can get more clicks. The same goes for the trust in the search engine. So basically, sometimes we click on top results, not only because our attention is there, but we trust that Google brings the top results on, the relevant results on top. So even if we read the snippets and we are not convinced, we still click because we think, oh, but Google knows better, let's say. So it's called a trust bias. So, and there are many other types of biases. And why am I spending so much time on this? Because if you just use clicks as they are to evaluate your system, to improve your system, you will use a very biased and very noisy data. So to remove that bias, or at least to attempt to remove that bias and to clean your data, models of user interactions have been developed. And if we talk about clicks, and I've been talking about clicks so far, and biases in those clicks, there are very, very many models created for clicks. Those are called click models, and there were so many that 5-6 years ago, we decided to write a whole book on it. So you already saw that book during Evangelist's lecture on evaluation. It's called Click Models for Web Search, where we summarize all the existing click models by 2015. Now there are more. We proposed neural click models, for example, in 2016. So if you want to learn about click models, you can find all the information in this book.